Good morning, everyone. Good morning, students. Welcome back to Practical Research 2 Quantitative Research. Whether you are doing your qualitative research or quantitative research, data gathering is very important. You have to gather the data after you have distributed the questionnaires to the respondents. Of course, you have to collect the data. Now, data gathering and in another meaning is that this activity is to be done with the use of instruments which befit the kind of informations that are going to be collected. Now, these data are subjected to analysis and statistical methods and interpretations. Why? Because it is a quantitative research. You have to apply descriptive statistics. Thus, it is imperative that the data to be collected should be gathered with the use of systematic methods and procedures. Now, there are two classifications of data. These data are actually can be qualitative and quantitative in nature. So, primary data, secondary data can be used in quantitative research and qualitative research. Now, when we say primary data are those information that can be directly collected from first-hand experience or direct sources. How do you understand direct sources? These are for example, examples of these types of data. The primary data are the autobiographies of the respondents, the diaries, and the first-person accounts. Those are called primary data. The first-hand nature of primary data make it more reliable and more detailed. They also lend more relevance to the researcher due to his direct participation in the data gathering activity. Now let's proceed. The secondary data are the information that were already gathered by other persons which are available in published or unpublished forms. Now, how do you understand secondary data? Examples of secondary data are those that are taken from books, magazines rather, biographies, office records, and etc. Everything that you can find whether at the offices or around your environment, those are called secondary data. Now, another method of data collection is registration. Registration rather. This method is usually done in observance of existing laws. How do you understand existing laws? Ito yung nandyan nakasaad na dyan. For example, you may go to the Philippine, Statistics Authority or PSA, the birth certificate. Those are the data which is a registration. Registration of students which can be found at the registrar's office. For example, in Agusan High, you can just go to the registrar office and of course with the permission of the principal, for you to retrieve the registrations of the students or the number of students. The use of existing data. This includes data that have been accumulated for administrative purposes and historical descriptions, but which could be also used for research purposes. Examples of this data are those that are found in government offices as in census data, DepEd data on SBM assessments. For example, you can use that. But as I've told you, you have to ask permission from the principal's office. That's why you have in doing your research, you have your letter of permission. For example, if you are going to the government offices such as this, for example, in City Hall, you want to conduct a research study and you want to find it out how many numbers of uh, numbers of the employees of City Hall. So you are going to ask permission by writing a, a letter to the municipal mayor for you to retrieve, that you will be able to retrieve, or you will that you will be able to find it out the accuracy of your research data. Now, another methods of collection is that the experiment, collection of data or gathering of data is the experiment. This is done when the objective is to collect data on cause and effect relationships of certain phenomena under controlled condition. Example, the scientific research, for example, in a particular university from the College of Agriculture of Caraga State University, usually they are doing scientific research, wherein some students are doing their experiment. For example, they want to observe the variety of species. They are being uh, they have given an area to plant variety of trees, variety of species, and every day or every week they have to observe a particular phenomena that has been happened at the time they planted the variety of trees and seeds, so that they will be able to identify which variety which grows rapidly or which variety grows slowly. So that's it. That is experiment. Another collection of data is the observation. Observation, this is done by means of senses. You can observe through your senses, through your sight, your hearing, your taste, touch, and smell. The sense of sight is the most common method, according to the books of research, according to Lewis 2009. This is used when the purpose is to gather overt behavior of research subjects or the research respondents. Now, there are two types of observations. These are the participant and non-participant observation. Now, how are you going to identify? How do you understand participant and non-participant observation? Because according to the book, re- uh, research has two types of observations. You can be a participatory or participant observer or non-participative observer. Now, when we say participant observation, meaning the researcher is personally involved in the activities being observed. A very good example is the anthropological studies where the researcher immerses himself with a group to be able to understand the different aspects of the lives of Mangyan people or a particular tribe. Of course, you have to participate through your observation. You have to stay in that particular group. You have to go to Surigao in order and intermingle or mingle with the daily routine or the daily experiences of a particular groups of Mangyan people or particular tribe for you to realize how effective is your research. Your research can be very realistic. Your research can be very influential. But in non-participant observation, when we say non-participant observation, the researcher does not participate in the activities. He just observes with the use of his five senses in gathering data. He is just a distant from the respondents, but through his senses he will be able to observe a particular behavior of a particular tribe. Another types of observations aside from par- participant, non-participant observation, we also have structured observations. Structured observation, for example, the teacher who is teaching, the teacher who is about to demonstrate his lesson and being observed by the track head. So that is structured observation. The items of a variable to be observed are specified in the listed down. For example, the teaching performance observation of the teacher. Now that is what we call structured observation. Another types of observation is the unstructured observation. Unstructured observation. There is no list of items to be observed. Any object, condition, or behavior that is relevant to the investigation is included in the observation. This is generally used in participant or uncontrolled observation. Now, another types of observation, we also have the controlled observation and the uncontrolled observation. Now, how do you understand controlled observation? It is actually used sometimes in experimental studies, wherein the experimental manipulates and controls the variables to be studied. For example, in the College of Agriculture of Caraga State University, as I've told you, the students are being given a particular variety of species of trees, species variety seedlings of vegetables and trees, and every day, every week, they are going to monitor the the plants, how the plants grows, which variety of seedling grows rapidly, which variety of seedlings grows slowly. So we called it controlled observation. Now, how do you understand uncontrolled observation? This is being done with no control over the variables to be observed. This is similar to the unstructured observation. This is usually happening in many studies where the variables to be observed are beyond the control of the observer. You cannot manipulate because that is uncontrollable beyond circumstance. So you just observe it beyond uncontrollable circumstance. So that is my discussion for today about the collection of data. However, I'm going to continue further. But for the meantime, try to analyze my discussion. Thank you for listening.